Football Talks, the shared passion of the beautiful game.
Well, my project is for my media production was podcasting. And with podcasting, essentially, you had two options to either make a long 40-minute one or a full podcast series, which was 8 episodes. And I elected to do the 8 episodes, which initially I was scared at, would I be able to produce it such a high amount of episodes in one time? But essentially, I did it. I scheduled it with a Gantt chart. So basically, they'd like an episode every 2 weeks, which was obviously really good. And then I reached out to people and I combined it with football, which is something I really like. So I ended up having to combine media, which is something I like, with obviously football, which is something I've always liked as a kid. So yeah, I quite enjoyed interviewing people about their footballing journey within academies, both success stories and unfortunate ones I didn't obviously go through. So yeah, it was quite good to do. Yeah, I think the degree really helped me in that, especially with the research aspect, because I had to obviously do extensive research, both listening to more podcasts as well as written researches as well. So I think it was kind of a good thing to combine the practical elements with the obviously theoretical, because I didn't only just carry out the practical, but also had like the research behind it to know, okay, this is why I'm actually doing it. And it kind of helped me produce like a high piece of work, because I was able to produce work with the full understanding of what I'm actually doing and the extent in which I needed to go. For me personally, has been hugely beneficial, and one of the reasons it has been is because as a person I don't particularly like maybe exam sittings, and I think the opportunity to have assessments in terms of written assignments or essays is something I actually benefited from in university, because I didn't actually have to take an exam or sit in. It was more of a written assignments, written essays, reading, researching about it, and it's something that I was able to perform to a higher standard basically, which I'm very grateful for, because if not, I don't know what I would have gotten if there was actually forceful exam based compared to assignments. As I went on, I was like, okay, yeah, this is something I actually like doing. And obviously with the portfolios and things like that, I think you as a person can see yourself progress. And I think during my 8 episodes, I obviously saw progress through my portfolios and that kind of work I was doing. I think especially with my production of my podcast series, and obviously having a show reel, creating a show, which is something I can now send to people and send to various, whether it's football academies or things like that, I can actually send it to them and say, okay, this is snippets of what I've done, and basically if you want the link, I can show you more of it. And I think that kind of prepared me to say, okay, yeah, I can actually do this as a career or do this as something I wouldn't see as work per se, but carry on doing it repetitively. And I think the university helped me building that through, okay, this is the 8 episodes you have to do, but at the same time create a show reel, not just okay 8 episodes and then that's it. Like create a show reel, make it to a professional standard, and then the industry will basically want to actually listen to what you have to show. Yeah, I think Brighton as a whole, I think one of the moments I stepped into Brighton, staying here for 4 years, essentially I had different tastes of the creative aspects of Brighton, because obviously when I did my first year, I had to obviously do creative documentaries, which obviously involved talking to Brighton natives. Then obviously when I started doing sounds, I had to get sounds of the pier, the seagulls and things like that. So I think it was something that you were immersed in, apart from the festivals and things like that. It's just something, even within your degree, you kind of had to embrace yourself in the Brighton society, and it was something that I found quite easy as a media production student to do. I found that it was very diverse in terms of I didn't really feel left out per se, and there's obviously different societies you can obviously join to make sure you kind of don't feel like you're away from home, which is something that for anyone stepping into university is quite important, because you don't really want to be missing home too much, because then it's going to affect your studies. You kind of need that assurance that, okay, yeah, even though I'm away from home, but I'm still at home in a way. I think one thing I would say is don't be afraid to try new things at the end of the day, and you also have to have that high self-confidence. So you have to believe in yourself and know basically the sky's the limit and nothing's really impossible. That you just need to try it, and what's the worst that can happen? It might not work out, but it should motivate you to do better basically.